Morning, Mike.
Morning, Phil.
This is, by the way, this is very morning for me. I don't get up like this on a regular basis, okay?
No.
So, I already seen some of the, I don't know if you can see on the TV behind me. Eventually we'll get feed here from SpaceX. But it's cloudy over there. It's really cloudy.
Really?
Am I muted? Hold on. Desktop audio. No. I should be fine. The wait, what stream, Phil? I'm waiting for the SpaceX stream, the main SpaceX stream. I know there's a lot of other stuff going on right now, but the main SpaceX stream, that's what you see on your screen right now. I shouldn't be muted, Bill. Not muted. Thank you, Craig. Hey, Bill, turn your volume up, dumbass. Okay, and I mean dumbass with a lot of love. I do.
100%.
And can everybody hear Mike? Okay, have Mike's audio up.
Oh, if people can't hear me, then we have a problem.
Yeah, you have such a big, booming, sexy voice.
Well,
Where as much as when I hear Dimitri, I get a warm, cozy feeling inside, and I want to eat 𝗬𝗏 as soon as possible. And 𝗊𝗍𝒩. When I hear your voice, I'm like, that's the pro. I'm like, we're the professional today. I really am.
I appreciate that. Yeah, believe it or not, I actually began a new career on that side.
I know you did.
You know, so it's proving challenging and interesting, and thanks to Mr. Bill Tarling, we've gotten a lot of help from him getting things.
He's a good man. He's a good man.
So versatile. So versatile.
Now, listen, guys, here's the situation. Right underneath SpaceX, okay, that's the chat window. For some reason, I'm not getting the chats through. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure out. I'm copying the correct URL. I'm going in this window, the chat window. I am doing properties. I am pasting it. It's the same custom CSS that I use for the DP show, and I click OK, and the chat window is just not showing up. Why is that? Is it too small? Hold on, let me try a couple things here. Let's go up here. No. All right, let me mess with this. Okay, so I see SpaceX is now broadcasting. That's exciting.
Yeah, it looks like they're starting their broadcast.
Yeah. And I do have the ability, if they say anything, we could go over to their audio. Yeah, see, like, why is there's nothing in the chat? I know you guys can't see what I'm doing right now, but why? Anybody have any ideas? The only thing that's different is I'm using, and Dimitri's gonna pass out when he hears this, I got my own Zoom account. I'm not using Dimitri's Zoom account.
Good morning.
I know.
Screen is a live view of
Because
Starship
you know why?
Why?
Because he gives me shit every time I use it.
Integrated flight test from Starbase, Texas. If all goes well, we hope to see our Starship spacecraft. and
Phil,
Super Heavy
use
booster
capture
launch
monitor
vehicle called
image
Starship
to isolate
lift
the
off
chat.
together for the
I
first
could.
time in just
I mean, I
over
could.
in exactly 33 minutes
But
from
then I
now.
won't get the fancy
Thanks
background.
For tuning in. I'm Kate Tice, Quality Systems Engineering
I
Manager
wanted the
here
fancy
at SpaceX
background.
headquarters in
But why?
Hawthorne,
I mean, why
California.
isn't it working? It should just work.
A space operations engineer here at SpaceX. Now, if you've been following along, you'll know that we stood down from our initial
I don't
launch
get
attempt
it.
on Monday, and that was due to a frozen
It's the
pressurization
same
valve
thing I
on
do
the
all
Super
the
Heavy
time.
booster.
SpaceX teams investigated the issue and determined
Why
that
is
this
it there?
valve had
All right, well,
moisture in
anyway.
it, which caused the valve to freeze up when we were loading super chilled
Phil,
liquid oxygen
Bill,
into the booster.
Bill, he can
Now,
see the
valves
chat.
are
Bill
super
can't see the
important
chat.
because we
You'd
naturally
you'd all be able to
depressurize
see the
go
chat.
back into the tank as we consume propellant.
Yeah, I
So,
don't-
this whole idea
use,
came from
refrigerant from
Mike.
that
Mike
comes
got a hold of
from
me and he's like,
around
we
engines.
should
It's
live the
heated down
launch.
there
And I'm like,
back
hey,
into
you know
the
what?
tank.
That's
So
not a
what's
horrible
back
idea
there
because I'm going to be
will
watching this
during
thing
the
anyway.
launch.
Yeah,
I happen to
and that's
love
important to think of it
space
like
and
drinking
rocket
out of
launches.
a thin
And
plastic water bottle. If If you're chugging that water, it crinkles.
I have a Star Trek mug. I have a Star Trek shirt on, which has nothing to do with SpaceX, but it's space, right? And I do. I love space. I don't miss a single launch. Whenever SpaceX puts a launch up here, I can see the launches from my house. Better at night, obviously. During the day, you hardly see anything, but at night, it's pretty spectacular, especially on a clear night.
And all the way over on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's all the way from the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm basically looking across the entire state.
Damn.
And the rocket is still going away from me, right? Because they pitch it out over the ocean. But I'm still able to see it, and that's cool. I mean, that's cool. I remember when I saw my first actual launch, which was the shuttle. That was years and years and years ago, and I was at the Kennedy Space Center when that happened. Obviously, that's going to be a lot better than seeing them from my yard, but it's so cool to be able to see those launches. You got Falcon Heavy coming up. Hopefully, I'll be able to see that because we were talking about going out to drive to see Falcon Heavy go up, but it's not doing a return. So all of the boosters, right, the two side boosters and the core, they're all expendable on this launch. They need all the fuel, right? So if I'm going to drive out there to see one of those, you bet your ass I want to see the two boosters return home.
There's a friend of mine. He and his wife went out and they caught the Falcon Heavy, the last one, because they were on vacation and they didn't really know, but they said they heard the sonic booms when both boosters came back.
Yeah, I want to experience that whole thing. All right, let's see. Bill is saying that he updated something for me. What did you update?
3 Raptor engines at the base of the vehicle and lift off, clear the pad away down from.
Oh, I like. See, look at what Bill did for me. I don't have my second screen on this Stream Deck. Okay, I can work through this. Give me a second. So I have a whole new set of Stream Deck commands on for this show, but I didn't copy one of them over that I do need. Let me copy it from. All right, this might screw things up here for just a little bit, but give me a second. All right, I got to change this to the DP show. I got to grab monitor 2. I got to go back to the new rocket launch set of screens. I got to paste this here, and that should now work. And I can show what Bill did for me. Look at that. So you got the 𝗵𝗵𝗶 presents Lost in Space X. That's very funny. But look at the rocket over here. Can I zoom in on the rocket over here? Let me see. Yeah. Oh, no, I guess I can't. It's got unsalted on the side of it.
Uh-huh.
The watermelon peach. He did a really good job. That's the #1 best-selling flavor in the unsalted line. I don't know if you know that or not.
You're starting early.
Well, I only have coffee. I can barely stand at this time in the morning, and you want me to do shots of Jack Daniels? That's crazy.
I was getting ready, and I grabbed a couple cans of Diet Pepsi, and my wife looked at me. She goes, "That's it?" No, I ran out of Patron, so the only thing I could grab was some of the stuff that she used to mix margaritas.
Okay. Well, I went into the liquor store again. I go to the liquor store next to Sam's Club, right? Because they have the big giant bottles. And I bought another big giant bottle of Jack Daniels because I was getting low again. And she must have looked at me. She must have remembered. She's like, wow. She goes, you really go through Jack. She must think I am a fucking alcoholic. With the amount of Jack Daniels that I drink, you gotta assume that. And literally, the only time I drink that is during the show. That's it. And I drink way too much during the show. But it's fun.
I watch you and Dimitri, and I'm like, oh my God. There is no way.
Yeah,
there
I
is.
know. We perform pretty well under the amount of alcohol that. And it's like some people say it's colored water. No,
it's not.
Guys, you're not helping me out with this goddamn chat. Why isn't it working?
And we have this awesome video that
Chat
shows you,
window,
just
properties.
how big that is. You can see one of our technicians.
I got
there
the
doing some
URL up
prep work
there.
in advance of today's test. And man, there's the 120
Those I never have
liter
those
monster.
clicked.
The person just keeps getting
The
smaller
custom
and smaller.
CSS. Why
And
is
just
this
like
not
Falcon 9,
working?
Starship has 2 stages,
Chat.
which we'll talk more about those
Copy.
in a minute. In addition to those 2
Co-
stages, Starship actually has a 3rd stage, which
Copy.
we call Stage 0. It consists of
Paste
all
it
the
in
launch pad
here.
infrastructure built around the
Paste.
rocket, as you can see there on your
And
screen.
then click OK.
And it's truly an engineering feat
And
in
nothing
its
is
own
coming
right.
up.
Yeah, we've got a great
I
shot
wonder
there
if
of
it's
the various different
too
components of it.
low. I
The
wonder if it's
pad, the
behind.
infrastructure, all
the,
that is required to get
let's
into
move
filling
to
the
top.
tanks. Now, let's
No,
talk
that
about
didn't
super
work.
heavy. Its name says everything.
Ah,
It's
that's
heavy,
aggravating.
It's super heavy. When it's operational.
All right, so what's the over under? What are you
power
giving
to
this
escape that
today?
mighty gravitational pull of Earth that we've got here, and take
On
it into
which
orbit.
part?
All
I'm
right.
just, I am so happy just to get together with you and shoot the shit.
Yeah, it's fun.
We sit and watch, you know, to see if they're actually going to be able to launch this thing.
Listen, Evelyn, Dimitri would know less than what I'm trying to figure out right now. So that, I mean, ha ha ha, very funny. But he's definitely not tech support when it comes to this. Although he did give me the CSS. To be fair.
Tech support. No.
All right, so we got
You can see they're in a
actually
couple
getting
of
down to
different
0 on the
ranges. They're gonna be
countdown.
outer ring of 20 static engines. They're gonna be
Igniting
providing
the
a huge
engines,
amount of thrust today,
and it getting off the
to
pad.
lift off
So there's
the power
3.
stack. But then we've got the 13 gimbaling
I
engines
think
in the middle, and they're gonna be
it's gonna
providing
go.
control
Here's why.
and also helping to reorient the
It's
booster.
420, and I know Elon, and he's just gonna fucking make it go.
Yep.
He's gonna be like, listen, Elon, we got an issue with the pump, and he's gonna like, nah, it's 420, it's going.
That's right.
That's
It's
what I
my
think.
time.
Right?
Of actually a wiggle test that we perform ahead of
My
liftoff,
biggest
just to make
fear
sure that all
with
those
this
engines are able to
is that it gets 5 feet off the launch pad and it blows. Right?
Right?
And the reason why that's my biggest fear is that could take out a lot of the infrastructure at that launch pad, right? That could take out the launcher, that could take out Godzilla, the lifter, that could take out the whole tank farm, that could take out everything, right? That if that thing goes, that's going to be a big boom.
Oh, yeah. That'd blow the assembly building, everything.
Yeah.
You know,
So that's my fear.
I don't think that it would blow. If it's going to do that, I think it's going to be when the stages separate.
Now,
Okay, well, that's fine. Because if it gets to stage separation, it gets past max Q, that's super important,
Yep.
right? Super important. If you want real rocket facts, the guy that I always watch is Everyday Astronaut, Tim Dobbs. He's fantastic. He's very, very knowledgeable. He explains this stuff in detail. He does like standalone videos for how to light rocket engines. He is actually friends with Elon Musk and all of the major rocket companies. He interviews them. He gets on site. He shows rocket manufacturing. He's like, if you're looking to watch for fun and to hang out, good. Yeah, we're like all friends. We can hang out and watch this thing together. But if you're looking for facts and knowledge, now I know that that Mike has done some facts and knowledge, right?
Oh,
And he has.
I printed some pages.
But if you want like real good facts and knowledge, Tim Dobbs is the guy. I don't.
Now, I didn't do any facts and knowledge on SpaceX, believe it or not. I looked through NASA
Okay.
because the way that I'm looking at this, the historical, beyond belief. You know, because if this thing actually goes and performs and does what they truly expected to do, it changes the game of everything.
Today, I know it does, but today, Mike, there's 2 very important things that are going to happen. Number 1, this rocket is going to launch. Number 2, I am going to learn how to speak 𝗶𝗵𝗶𝗹's name. Okay? Because I know I always do it wrong, and I don't mean anything by it. I really don't. Right? So what 𝗶𝗵𝗶 is going to do is she is going to phonetically spell her name in the chat, and then I'm going to confirm with her that I'm going to say it right. And I will say it right for this show. Now for the next show, I will have forgotten the entire conversation,
We're going supersonic. We're
and I will go
compressing
back
the air ahead of us. That ends
to
up causing
calling
a
her
lot of heating
𝗍𝗵,
along the
probably.
surface, and without a heat shield, that would
Why
be a
isn't the
great
chat
challenge
working?
structure.
Bill, come on.
One thing that's amazing to me, especially when I
Podcast tag.
first picked up one of
Okay,
these
no.
e-shield
Pop
tags
out the
that
chat
are
in
so
a new
light,
window
they
and
almost
try
feel like
grabbing
they're
that window.
made out of
Yeah, I
foam.
can. I can do
light,
that,
and they kinda
Billy
sound like it
Bill.
too. And
But
one
my
thing
problem
that
with
we don't
that
mention,
is that
in
I
order
won't get
to
my
inject
my
the
my
maximum
fun
amount of
little
heat during that
background, and
entry,
that's not the
like
way you
Trevor was
do
just
it.
saying,
It's
they're
not
black,
the
and that's
proper way
because
to do
black
it.
helps
Yeah,
to,
because the only
protect
window
the
I've got
battery
open
as
is
it's
Zoom,
building
so
up
I don't
the
even
surge
see
of the
All right,
heat
let
what
me-
people are populating the chat with.
Is
Yeah,
designed for
let me just
vertical
see if I
takeoff
can
and
do that.
landing
All right.
as opposed to taking off
I
and
want to
landing
grab.
like an airplane. And that's
I
because
want to do a display
that's really
capture.
important because we don't
I
have
want a
runways
display
on the moon
capture.
or Mars. Fortunately, at those destinations, the gravity
display
is not
one.
as high as it
Okay,
is
did
here
that
on
work?
Earth. On Mars, the gravity is just 1/3 of what it is here on Earth, and on the moon, it's just a sixth. So in
No,
both of those
that's
cases,
2.
Starship with just its engines can
And
take
where
off
did that
without
even
needing
go?
the super heavy
All right,
booster
display
like
capture,
we do
delete.
need here on planet Earth.
While
Now,
he
for
is
today's
doing
test,
that,
Starship does not have
Yeah,
its
yeah.
second
Talk a
booster
little bit.
pack,
quick
but
facts for
like we
people.
said
Please.
before,
And
it
I've
can
got a
land
few.
anywhere. Starship is expected to
Did you know the
achieve a
Apollo
3-hour elite
program,
landing,
right?
which,
Everybody
if you
knows the
have been
Apollo
paying
program was
attention,
in the 60s, in the
may have
70s.
managed to get any views.
The
It will
oldest
certainly make for a
guy,
very
the oldest
exciting end to
guy,
today's
and that's all
test.
they put in space
At this
back
point
then
in time,
was
we
men.
are
No women, no nothing. It
20
was
minutes,
all men.
or just over 20 minutes from
The oldest guy
liftoff.
that
Let's
walked
check in with John
on the
Isberger
moon,
for a status update. Hey,
let
John,
me go
how's
down
everything?
through here and make sure,
Thanks, Kate. I'm John Isberger,
was
Principal
Alan
Operations
Shepard.
Engineer here at SpaceX.
He was 47
We're
years
loading
old
propellant from the
when he
ground
walked on the
system into
moon.
both the first and second
The
stages.
youngest
Both
guy,
vehicles use the same two propellants that
let me
come
check and make sure that I get this right,
reliability. And the fuel today is
was
liquid
a guy
metal
in one of the
at a
last missions,
temperature of just
Charles
under 100
Duke,
kelvins. That's
was
about
36 years old.
-272 degrees below zero on the
Now, can you imagine it being in your mid
That is the
30s
fuel from
and
Falcon
standing on the
9.
moon and looking at
That
Earth?
uses RP1 kerosene.
And there's half a possibility that you're not going to make it back
And
home.
that's the same as Falcon 9.
That's just
Because there is no
mind-boggling
oxygen in
for
space to
me,
support the
how they
propellant,
can
we
actually
have to
do
bring
that.
our own.
Stand up there and that takes a
Leading
lot of
up to where
balls.
we are right now, we had a go-no-go poll that was conducted just after T-minus 2 hours.
Couple of quick facts.
Once the team gave their goes, we started
We all
loading
know
propellants onto the booster. It took
stars,
1 hour and 39 minutes.
like the sun,
At T-minus
different
1 hour and 22
different
minutes, we began
orbital paths in the
propellant
galaxy, in the
fuel.
universe.
The second
There was
stage
one that
was
says there are more
minutes.
trees on
And
Earth
propellant loading
than
of
there
the
are
Starship
stars
second
in the
stage
Milky
main
Way.
phase completed at about
Believe it or not, there are about
7
3
minute mark,
trillion,
at which time
3
we then began
trillion
loading
trees. God, I
two
sound like I've
engines
already
into
been
the
drinking
nose
for
of the
half an
second
hour
stage.
on the planet
You
Earth.
should try.
Now, at T-minus 3
Go
minutes,
for it.
when the first
Yep.
stage super heavy
So there's
propellant
3
loading completes,
trillion
that
trees
means
on
we'll
the
have
planet Earth and
1
between
more
100 and
vehicle
400
full
billion
to load
stars
with over 10
approximately
million pounds of propellant.
in the Milky Way
And right
galaxy.
now, at T-minus 19 minutes and counting from liftoff,
A full NASA
weather and
spacesuit.
winds are looking good.
Do you know what the
We
cost
ended
of that
with
actually is?
high-level winds
For
of
one
115
spacesuit for
miles an
NASA,
hour. As the
$12
warming
million.
continues, they will increase.
Yeah,
For
but that's
25
NASA.
limits right now.
That and that's one of the problems with NASA. Okay, and that's why NASA is failing, and that's why NASA has this whole SLS thing that to me is the biggest waste of money in American taxpayer history. Oh, you see, you got me started. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, SpaceX and these smaller companies, they're proving that it can be done. SpaceX especially, right?
Yeah.
And
They're
to
executing.
me, that's frustrating to me.
Awesome news.
Yeah, I can't
Now,
do
in
this
order
any
to
better
make
than
life
it is right now. I don't even know if you can see it on the screen,
because
it's really tiny.
Cargo and a lot of people to orbit and have a pretty
Welcome
crowded
to live
program.
chat.
The idea is to effectively
Yeah,
land these
it's
launch
there,
vehicles
but it's
just
a
like
it's a screen
Yeah,
cap, and
imagine if
I
you had
don't
to
like
wait
it.
for a new
I wonder if I
airplane to be
screen cap it that
constructed
way.
every time you wanted to fly. You'd rarely go anywhere, and for most of us, it would be
All right, that's
completely
working. What if I
unaffordable.
apply the
In order for us
CSS to
to
that
get
now?
to Mars
Let's see.
and back with lots
Let's
of
go
people, lots
here.
of cargo, multiple times, reusability is
Because of
really
the
hard to come
atmosphere
by.
on
In
Mars,
advance of our first mission
the
to
sunset
Mars, Starship will
is
execute
blue
a number of missions with both cargo and people,
because there's not
starting
much
with Earth
oxygen and
orbit
everything
and
else. The
eventually
sunset
expanding
on
to the
Mars
moon and
is
beyond.
blue.
Now, in the near term and a bit closer to
Our sun
home,
is big enough that you can fit 1 million Earth
once fully operational, it'll
Earths
deliver the
into it.
full-size and upgraded
See, I have a problem when I go to say S's and shit. The sun mass, it's just the mass, not the size of the sun. The sun's mass takes up 99.86% of our entire solar system. It's so dense, so heavy.
About how we got to where we are today.
Now, Starship's testing ramped up in July.
Ooh, this one got me. We all watch space movies and Battlestar Galactica and everything else, and they've got all the nice, cool sound effects and even Star Wars. The big what? The Death Star blows up. That's one that I wanted to ask you about. But the Death Star blows up, and you've got all these cool sound effects that go with it. And do you know space is silent? There is no noise in space. So when the Death Star blew up, it just would have been a flash of light, and that was it.
Yes, that's why one of the most accurate movies out there, which is also one of the slowest moving movies out there, but still very, very ahead of its time, is 2001. Because there were no outdoor sounds. Interstellar was also accurate. There were no outdoor sounds. When I say outdoor, I say space sounds. And what was another one? Interstellar. 2010. There was another one that I just watched. When I remember, I'll remember. But yeah. But I mean, because movies got to be entertaining, right? They put all these sound effects in there, but no, you're right. There's what was the one where they were working on a space shuttle and a satellite blew up and oh Christ, the satellite blew up and then they had to get back to the shuttle, but the shuttle was destroyed, and then she had to make her way to the space station. Help me out, guys. Gravity. Thank you. Gravity.
Believe it or not, I've never seen that movie.
Oh my God, you got to see it.
No, I haven't seen that one. I was sitting here and thinking, Silent Running.
Silent Running. Oh God.
Yeah, that's like jogging your brain.
I watched this little.
Here's a question, and this is a debatable kind of question.
Oh boy.
On to prototype.
We were talking. I mentioned the Death Star, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that automatically have turned Luke to the dark side? I mean, wasn't he the biggest mass murderer in all of Star Wars?
Because he killed everybody on the Death Star.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about that if we do a live about Star Trek Picard.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Because that's one that's got to happen.
Indirectly, Picard has been responsible for more deaths, more Federation deaths, than anybody you could possibly imagine. Okay.
Really?
So, well, when he was Locutus, he killed everybody at Wolf 359.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now that his DNA has transferred to his son, no spoilers here, right? Because this has all happened already. His DNA has transferred to his son, and everything, like all of the Federation, is being taken over now by this new kind of Borg, and they're eliminating all the seniors. How many more people are dying indirectly because of Picard? Just think about it. So yeah, you could look at it that same way.
That just somebody said, yeah, Luke's already evil. How the hell do you figure that? Well, he killed everybody on the Death Star with one pull of the trigger and launching 2 little missiles. I'm like, ooh.
Bill's gonna make me put my glasses
Ooh.
on.
Get to the moon, travel to Mars, and beyond.
Bill's talking about 𝗁𝗂𝘂. And you're right. That's how I did it the last time. All right, hold on. Let me look. What time are we on? We got plenty of time yet?
9:15.
So we got what? 15 minutes?
Like 15 minutes, I think. Yep, under 13 minutes.
Serial number.
Mute this. There we go. Yeah, like 15 minutes. All right. Right? No, not 15 minutes. Let me try to make that 13 minutes. All right, it's getting exciting. And I have the
Star
large,
Trek.
I have the large screen.
Oh yeah, that's nice. You were talking about Star Trek. Did you or did anybody else see them getting back to the Enterprise D? I mean, did people see that coming?
No. Okay. A lot of the reviewers online have seen the entire season. but they're under NDA not to share anything.
Mhm.
But there are still leaks all over the place, right? I haven't looked at a single leak. I just
I didn't either.
want to enjoy the show. As a matter of fact, okay, when I'm done with this live, the show airs today. I'm not sure what time I'm going to get to watch it, but I'm going to watch it. But now for the rest of the day, I have to stay away from YouTube. Here's why. Because there's fuckers out there that create thumbnails, and in the thumbnails, they spoil shit. Like last week, before I watched it, well, no, right after I watched it, I'm going around YouTube, and there's like thumbnails with Enterprise D returns. Well, no, what if I hadn't watched that? Right? And then in the video, they're like, oh, well, spoiler alert. You fucking spoiled it in the thumbnail. What's wrong with you? That people are just stupid, and they make me mad. But, you know, I mean, this is how YouTube is, right? Everybody's got to grab your attention. They got to be the first ones to get the video out there so they get the views and they get the clicks.
You're going to see Phil turn into the video, and the keyboard warrior is going to sit and flex his hands and go, wow.
Hold on. It's 𝗍𝗵𝗶. That's it. It's 𝗍𝗵𝗶.
Eva.
It's not Eva. It's not Evelyn. It's 𝗍𝗵𝗶. 𝗍𝗵𝗶.
Wally.
𝗍𝗵𝗶.
Eva.
Flight is taking place out of our Starbase facility in South Texas, and that
It reminds me of when
huge amount of development over the last
she's
couple
given
of
birth
years.
to Leia and Luke, and she goes 𝗍𝗵𝗶, the robot, the medical birth-giving robot.
Yep.
All right, let's see. If
Now,
I go over here
if I'm
to
not mistaken,
chat window when I do properties, and he said I can make a make the YouTube dark chat background. Use a chroma key. I wonder if that chroma key is in my first. Let's see. Let's close this.
Along with their 200th Raptor 2 engine, they're only scaling up from there, Kate.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that for
Yeah,
2023,
see, it is using some kind of
production has 5
transparent
boosters and
thing
8
here.
Starships going. So
but this is a
it's
really long.
incredible, and it's important
gonna
to
do
have that system
Okay.
fill.
We're just gonna keep it the way it
in
is for now. It's
basically
working,
the
so.
manufacturing
Yeah.
line so that we have
that's
product
good. As long as you can see it live,
done.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Can we see it? Can I see Eva's
exactly. And
latest
ultimately,
chat
I mean,
here?
we
She
talked
just put a
about how
chat out,
Starship is
so
an
why
order
do I
of
not see
magnitude
it?
more propellant,
No,
payload
let's
to
delete
orbit.
that.
But if you're gonna go set up a base on the moon or Mars, you're gonna
Yes,
need
okay, I'll
thousands
keep
of
this
metric tons
here.
of propellants, and so you're gonna need
But
a fleet
where's
of vehicles
Eva's chat?
capable of doing that.
Yeah, one thing to
Now,
note,
how does
Starship
Eva
employs more than
spell her
1,800
name?
employees. It's the largest
Wait,
employer
listen,
in
I
the
just
area,
learned how
in
to
fact.
pronounce it. Now you gotta fucking make me
And we're
know
very thankful
how to
Cameron
spell
County
it
for
too.
being so
Don't you-
supportive.
there we go.
This is
That
a
looks like
view
the bottom.
from
Does this look
the.
like
The only reason I ask,
Cameron
I had a chance to interview
and
𝗍𝗵𝗶 Lawrence. Okay. Yeah, and I've worked with her previously from a company that I used to work for. She was our rep for the show when we were out in Vegas. You know, every booth had their draw, and ours was 𝗍𝗵𝗶 Lawrence. But I got to interview her. But she spells her name EWA, and her pronunciation is Ava. You're just curious.
Christ, now I'm even more confused. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So this is I'm gonna give you my philosophy on space travel. And it's gonna be very interesting. But
Here comes.
I don't have a watch on, so I gotta get a watch. I feel naked without a watch. Entertain the 5 people who are watching.
There are 10 times more stars in the night sky than grains of sand on the planet Earth, with 70 sextillion stars being visible from Earth through a telescope. And it's, I would have to sit and actually count how many, but it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, oh my God, 21, 22. That's a 7 and 22 zeros after it. 70 sextillion. 68% of the universe is dark energy. Does not even really matter. It's dark energy. 27% is dark matter, like antimatter. Both of these are invisible, even with the telescope, which means we are only able to see 5% of the universe. Worldwide, there are estimated 16 million thunderstorms each year. Roughly 100,000 of these thunderstorms happen in the U.S. alone. The Apollo 11 Saturn V lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center at 9:36 on July 16, 1969, carrying 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Edwin Buzz Aldrin. The journey to the moon lasts 4 days, 6 hours, 46 minutes, and finally landing on July 20th, 1969. And due to the gravity on the moon and some extra speed that the craft had picked up, Armstrong and Aldrin had missed the landing site by 4 miles. They were off course by 4 miles and were instead faced with an unfriendly sight of rough terrain and SUV-sized craters. Armstrong had to find a smooth spot to land, and fast, because his dwindling fuel supplies, 5% remaining, meant that Armstrong would have a mere 60 seconds to land on the moon. So can you imagine the pucker factor of that? You're going down. You have 60 seconds in unfamiliar terrain with craters that would absolutely kill everybody. They had 60 seconds to land.
I've watched that so many times, and I've listened to those call-outs, and those call-outs were in seconds, seconds of fuel that he had left. And yeah, like the butt cheeks must have been like really, right? Have you ever seen the Saturn V?
No.
Oh, listen. I've been to Kennedy Space Center several times now, and every American should see that rocket for themselves. You can't imagine how big it is until you're standing there looking at it and walking underneath it. Like, I have we're down to 4 minutes. I'm gonna go more volume here in just a second. But like, I have to spend quality time with the rocket. I have to be in that room for like at least an hour, just walking up and down, reading everything about it, seeing how complicated it is. And we did that back then. That's the amazing part to me. I mean, you talk about rocket scientists. These motherfuckers were rocket scientists that were able to build that back then and successfully, for the most part, fly it to the moon and not lose a single astronaut in flight. To me, it's amazing. But you gotta see it in person.
I want to go. Alex, my son, when he was younger, grandparents, Shelly's mom and dad, took him to Kennedy Space Center, and they were on the tour bus, and he was young, 11, I think, at the time. The little shit snapped or had somebody take a picture of him just as they were going by. They were on the tour bus, and he took a picture with the shuttle on the pad in the background.
Oh, really? When we were coming back from the Saturn Museum, they were bringing a Falcon booster to refurbish, and we drove right by them on the road. So, like, you saw one closer up than you could possibly imagine. All right, we got about 3 minutes left. I'm going to go to this shot, and we'll bump the volume a little bit here. And listen.
Right now, T-minus 3 minutes, 10 seconds and counting. We got some great views from the drone. It's nice that the fog is slowly lifting. We get some of the blue skies, hopefully good views. What we're waiting for right now is closeout of propellant loading on the first stage. That should be wrapping up here shortly. In fact, it looks like fuel fill and drain valves are coming closed. That means first stage is fully loaded, second stage fully loaded, and that 10 million pounds of propellant on board the Starship launch vehicle.
I want to take a quick moment to say that the crowd energy here is electric. I feel like it's Falcon Heavy test demo all over
You can
again.
bump that volume up more if you wanted to.
And hopefully you'll hear us as we get into the plus count. But right now, next activity is coming up. The flight termination system arms at T-minus 2 minutes. Thrust vector control checkouts at T-minus 2 minutes. And then after that, major activity will be the T-minus 40-second gate. There's a view looking up at the 33 Raptor engines.
That's so cool.
There are 20 engines in a circle on the outside, and as Shiva said
Now,
earlier,
you know,
13
the
engines
booster
on the
is
center.
supposed to come down and soft land in the water.
Yep.
And the Starship is supposed to make a full-on belly flop in the ocean. I hope, if all of this goes right, we get video of that, because that is going to be one hell of a splash.
I don't think I've ever seen someone
At
so
that
excited for
speed,
TVC
yeah.
videos.
Right? I always love the enthusiasm
Love
of the
this view of the
SpaceX
33 Raptor
teams
engines at
and
the
employees.
base of the
All
super
the
heavy booster.
applauding and
I think we
you
can
know,
see those
and
wiggles
the
now.
excitement there.
We're currently inside 90 seconds. Next major activity, T-minus 40 seconds. That is a gate, a decision point.
And only
We're
the
waiting.
center
Possibility
engines
the
gimbal.
propulsion team may
So
need a
only
few
the
minutes.
center engines are the ones that move around to guide the rocket.
Flight termination system is armed for flight.
Oh boy.
We're getting ready for T-minus
Less than a
1
minute.
minute and counting. Mark, T-minus 1 minute and counting.
I'm looking at two screens. My other screen is 10 seconds ahead, so
Yeah, I'm watching what you've got here.
Next, we'll see as we get past T-minus 40 seconds for final checks of the vehicle.
come on, baby.
This has been such a long time in the making. Just unbelievable.
We're right there. I have like 3 feeds. I got a feed behind me.
Okay, you can see the clock is recycled. Flight director has called a hold. We are recycling. For the moment, we'll see where they move the clock back to. They could hold at T-minus 40 seconds. They could go to an earlier point. Give us a minute to listen into the nets, and we'll see if we can get you more information to share.
Damn.
I still think they'll take the hold off. Here's something for you to think about. Everybody talks about Area 51 and all the things that are happening on Area 51 and how, because of the alien crash, everything that we did accelerated, right? Electronics and microprocessing and everything else. Do you realize it was 66 years between the invention of the Wright Flyer and the Apollo 11 mission? 66 years.
We can move fast when we want to.
But if you think about the technology that had to happen in 66 years to go from learning how to fly to launching men to the moon, and it took hundreds of years to learn how to have indoor plumbing.
So, what do you? Well, I mean, technology increases exponentially, right? Because
If you count Moore's law, sure.
and you can base technology on previous technology, and that's why it moves faster and faster and faster. So, what are you saying? Are you saying that you believe that Area 51 was an alien crash and we used alien technology? Do you believe that?
I do. For the sole purpose that up until that point in the 40s, we had not had much technology advancement.
Yeah. See, unfortunately, I don't believe in that. Okay, I don't believe that Area 51 was.
John Innsbrucker again here at the Hawthorne webcast desk. We're holding at T-minus 40 seconds. What we've heard so far is we have a couple of issues we're working. One is the booster tank pressurization. Final pressurization was just a little bit long. That's not unusual. We've held it T-minus 40 seconds before to pressurize. That appears to have been resolved. At the same time on the second stage, they're working some final purging. We should know very shortly if that is clear and if we'll continue the countdown.
Everyone, especially that person, is excited to keep going. Like John said, we should know shortly if we are able to continue. But as we mentioned before, we are able to hold
this mic is an
up to
SM7B.
15 minutes and still be able to lift off
it
today.
truly
Yeah, on Falcon
is
9,
just
it's a little bit
for
different.
podcasts and things of that nature.
Pretty much have to go
I
and
wouldn't even
target
think of
otherwise
using
the
this
can
for
work
doing
on
any kind of
the performance
voiceover
of that
work.
particular,
I really
music
wouldn't.
profile.
It's
It's a little
just
bit
meant
different.
for this.
Oh, for doing stuff like this, yeah.
Yeah,
Looks like they're clearing
it's
all the
awesome.
flags, and we're gonna release at
The one that
T-minus
I've got in the
40
booth
seconds.
is
That is amazing.
an Austrian audio, the
Team
OC18.
working quickly through their issues
This
on
thing's
first
like
and second stage.
250. That thing
I'm sure all of the
was
rehearsals,
8 something.
and
Oh, the mic you're
simulations that
talking
they've been
about?
doing are preparing
Yeah.
them to evaluate
The Austrian audio, the OC18.
try to get us in for today's
And
lunch
the
test.
clarity on it is just phenomenal.
Well, the fact that you have an amazing voice doesn't well, helps.
Yeah.
But
But at the same time, I've cut down because this runs into now.
It looks like the flags are being
Honestly,
cleared
I'm
as
trying to
we
get an
speak.
update
So
here.
we
Let
should
me
be
see.
able to resume the launch countdown any moment now.
Oh,
And it's worth noting on Starship that once we resume the countdown, it restarts from the 40-second period.
that's
and
why I
then
wanna
we
watch
keep
this
going
restart
unless
from the
another
40
condition
seconds.
pops up. So stick around.
so I don't
because,
believe in the whole alien
Starship
thing
could
with
be
Area
going here
51.
real
I
soon.
believe. Here's what I think.
Don't walk away.
First of
that's
all,
for sure.
do you have access to a terminal right now? Can
Amazing
you
views
do a
here
web
coming
lookup?
to us from
Yeah.
Starbase,
Okay.
Texas.
Find out when the last. Come on, baby.
Booster upper chamber pressure is on.
10 million pounds of fuel alone.
43 seconds into the test flight of the inaugural Starship vehicle. Tower cleared, we're into pitch over. Propulsion reports first stage engines nominal. What a sight from the ground cameras at Starbase. We're flying at twice the thrust of the Saturn V heading to space.
Acquisition signal purpose 50.
We're throttled down and throttled back up. Going through the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure. As the velocity increases, the density of the atmosphere is decreasing,
Max Q.
lessening stress on the vehicle. The call out, max Q now. Continuing to watch the first stage as we head down range. "100 seconds into flight. Our next major activity is going to be
Acquisition
shutdown
signal,
of
Houston.
the first stage. The Houston tracking station now acquiring the vehicle. With shutdown, we will get separation of Starship from Super Heavy and ignition of the Starship engines. When Starship separates, we light up 6 engines in a staggered sequence. If all goes well, those 6 engines will burn for almost 6.5 minutes. onboard view from Starship. And there's views of the Raptor engines on the second stage as we prepare for stage separation. Now, after stage separation, the first stage will flip and begin a boost back maneuver for landing in the Gulf. Continuing to fly, 2 minutes 40 seconds. Let's get ready for main engine cutoff.
Restriction cutoff.
Beginning the flip for stage separation.
Yeah, it doesn't look healthy.
No, that can't be right.
I don't think gyroscopic action is supposed to be in the flight plan. Now, folks, just for entertainment
As of
purposes,
right now, we are awaiting stage separation, where Starship should separate from the Super Heavy booster.
Yeah, Kate, right now it looks like we saw the start of the flip, but obviously we're seeing from the ground cameras the entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now. Obviously, this is does not appear to be a nominal situation.
Yeah, it does appear to be spinning, but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
Yeah, they blew it up.
And there, as you saw, as we promised, an exciting end to the Starship inaugural integrated test flight.
he did it, lift it off, absolutely. Did he get off the
Everyone
ground?
here
and
is
got up in the air?
absolutely pumped to clear the pad and make it this far into the test flight, the first integrated flight of the booster and the Starship vehicle.
Live view there of our control center at Starbase. Which
Now
we
watch
refer to
media.
as Star Command.
Watch news media, right? You'll see.
As we said before,
They'll spin
obviously
this,
we wanted to
depending on
make
what
it all the
media
way
you
through,
watch.
but to
Some
get
will
this far,
say
honestly, is amazing.
SpaceX successful launch, lost
you're just
rocket, blah
joining
blah,
us,
and then
Starship
others will
just
say
experienced what we
SpaceX
call
rocket blows
a
up.
rapid
Watch,
unscheduled
watch,
disassembly or
because
a
these
run during
these fuckers in
ascent.
media.
But now
Yep.
this was a development test. This is the first
Mike,
test
I've
flight of
had it.
Starship.
I
And
am
developers
so
began to the data,
beyond
and as we said, clear the pad,
having
and get
had
ready
it
to go again.
with
So you
media
never know exactly
and
what's gonna
dividing
happen.
this
But
country
as we promised,
and
excitement is
just throwing
guaranteed.
fuel on the fire.
Starship gave
I've
us another
had it,
spectacular end, but
and
was
it's just
truly an
getting
incredible test
worse.
thus
It's
far.
going to continue to get
Now,
worse.
as we mentioned
It's
at the
disgusting
start of
what's going
today's
on. It really
program,
is. But
and
anyway,
all the data
that
we
was awesome.
collected during
That
That was
was
awesome. I can't wait to see all the replays and all the high definition and all the zoom ins and everything. So they made it off the whole pad is perfect. Well, we think anyway. That's a lot of power. God knows what got crushed.
He said it destroyed the concrete under the pad. And it's like, okay, so what are you going to do? Reconcrete the whole damn thing again?
What
Yeah, I
an
don't know.
exciting morning.
Well,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Elon. He'll have that
We had a
done,
successful
by
liftoff from
noon.
4
Starbase,
p.m.
Texas
Yeah.
at 8:28 a.m.
It
Central
lo-
Time.
so the pad
We
is
cleared
is
the
okay.
tower, which
The
honestly
tank farm is
was
okay.
our
It got up.
only
It hit
hope.
max Q, which was
We
great.
cleared the tower, and
It
all the
looked
data we
it
collected
looked to
all the way
me
through,
that several of those
all the
engines didn't
Raptor
like.
was 33,
Yeah.
although I think we
Right?
saw
That's
that
what it looked
3
like to
Raptor
me,
engines
and
were
I'm
out.
sure that's what we're going to hear.
But we got all that data.
But
We got so
that's
far
the
as
way-
to hoping to see
That's the way
the
SpaceX does
Starship, the
things,
second
right?
stage,
They do it
separate
as
from the
cheaply
first
as
stage, the Super
possible.
Heavy booster. And
They
unfortunately,
send it
we
up,
didn't make
it
that happen,
fails,
but
and they know
that's
exactly
okay.
what they need
It
to
was
fix the next
first
time.
integrated launch,
It's a
and
much
honestly,
different
today
thought
was
process
amazing.
than with how NASA does things, and that's why
Do you know how many?
when NASA does something, it costs billions and billions and billions of dollars because they're trying to get it right the first time. Right?
Do you know how many people in the news, and you mentioned it, how many news outlets are going to turn around and say, well, you know, NASA had their first big ass rocket and it launched and it was perfectly fine. And yeah, and SpaceX tried to launch their rocket on their first attempt and had to blow the damn thing up. Well, okay. How many engines did NASA have that were not brand new engines? All of those engines, if I'm not mistaken, that were the main engines were shuttle engines.
What are you talking about for SLS?
Yeah.
SLS was a duct taped together 70s technology. There's nothing new about it. There's nothing new about it. There's nothing reusable about it. The technology is old. That's why I'm a little bit negative when it comes to SLS and that launch system, and knowing how much money as taxpayers we've paid. Because again, SLS is NASA corporate, right? So there's all your subsidiaries and all your bidders and all. To me, SLS and NASA is an excuse to keep a lot of people employed.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Boeing, all the other people that are on there, all the contractors.
You wouldn't try this.
But it's just the SLS is
Then there are drinks from McDonald's.
old
Get
parts.
any-size McCafe iced coffee and
80s technology.
$2.29. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's cool. Okay.
You know. But I'm like you. How many people are going to turn around and they're going to say, "Well, NASA got it right, and they launched their shit," and and then they crashed all of your money from one rocket in the ocean.
And you also have to go back to Falcon, right? Go back to Falcon. And how many times did Falcon fail? And how many times did Falcon not land? And how many times did Falcon blow up? You know, but look at the Falcon service record now. Oh. It's one of the most reliable vehicles out there. And the fact that they've stuck that landing like almost 200 times in a row now is just unbelievable. All right, let's see if we can get to some of these chats, and then I'll give you my theory on space travel, and then I'm going to go do other stuff today, but not look at YouTube. I think I got to go for my bike ride yet this morning. Let me imagine the jangles. The news is going to be crazy. You'll see how they spin this negatively. Bill is really putting heartstrings. Oh, Bill said something lovely. It's true, Bill. It's true. And right now, all of that watermelon peach, the #1 best-selling flavor in the unsalted line, is spread across the ocean, and fish everywhere are enjoying it. First populate the moon, right? We should be the first to populate the moon. We should have a moon base. We should have Mars bases by now.
Oh, dude, if you're going to start on that.
Well, but that's what I'm going to talk about in just a second before we wrap this up. I agree. I agree that the shuttle project should never have been shelved. I watched every shuttle. First of all, they were dangerous. Second of all, they weren't as reusable as they thought. They were very, very expensive. Turnaround time was really, really long.
The computing power people have in their cell phone was more than the sum total of the computing power that was running the shuttle system. So when people think about it, well, that was such antiquated technology.
Very.
You know, you had more horsepower in your cell phone than they had to fly the shuttle.
Yeah, it really, that's another amazing piece of that. And by the way, if you go to the Kennedy Space Center, you'll be able to see a real shuttle too.
Oh, I can't wait to get down there to be able to go to the complex.
The first shuttle I saw, it was on the aircraft carrier in New York. They've since switched things around. It was the Enterprise, right? But the Enterprise never flew into space.
No, but do you remember seeing Leonard Nimoy?
Oh, yeah. At the inauguration.
And when they rolled the Enterprise out of the shuttle hangar.
Yeah. Wasn't Nichols there too? Nichelle? Or was it just Nimoy? I can't remember now. Uhura.
Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah.
What about her?
Wasn't she there?
I don't remember.
All right, but anyway, so yeah, that was just they used it as a drop test. They used it as a proof of concept for aerodynamics and everything. It never flew into space.
No.
But like I said, when you go to Kennedy Space Center, you do see an actual shuttle. I believe it's the Atlantis. And the presentation, I'm not going to tell you how the presentation goes because that's part of it, is really cool the way they do this little show and then they show it to you. Okay. Let's do a little research here, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you my theory on space flight and what is possible. So, when was the last? What's the word? Like when the dinosaurs got taken out, extinction level event. When was the last extinction level event on Earth? And I'm going to see if this, okay, 65.5 million years ago. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my theory on space flight. All right. We will become an interplanetary species. I believe that, right? I believe we will eventually go to Mars. I believe we will have a base on the moon, maybe some of the moons of Europa. So anyway, or the moons of Jupiter. I truly believe that we will be an interplanetary species. Interstellar species, I don't believe that can be achieved. And here's why I say that. We've never been visited. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, we have been visited, and, you know, they don't show themselves. Nah, I don't believe that, right? I don't believe that. I believe if we were going to be visited, it would have happened. It would have been public. It would have been well documented, right? I don't believe. And so now, if we haven't been visited yet, right, I believe in the Big Bang Theory, and I believe that everything started off at basically the same time, right? And you have, we'll say, countless planets and countless. So I truly believe there is life on other planets, all right? Intelligent life. And actually life far more technological than we are.
Okay.
By at least 65.5 million years, right? So, two Earths, we're both evolving. One Earth, our Earth, gets hit, and there's an extinction level event 65.5 million years ago, right? So things stop and they have to restart again. But on that other Earth, it didn't get hit. So on that Earth, right, they're at least 65 million years ahead of us technologically, right?
Okay.
And yet we still haven't been visited.
It depends upon where that other Earth is.
Doesn't matter.
In the universe?
To me, it doesn't matter. I hope we have warp drive. I hope we have, what does Star Wars use? Not warp drive. They use
Hyperspace.
Hyperspace, right? I hope we have that someday, but to me, I don't think it can be done. And the reason why I don't think it can be done is because we haven't been visited yet. So that's my theory. Within the solar system, interplanetary, sure, but as far as without a intergenerational ship, I don't think those speeds are possible, unfortunately. So that's my theory.
I'd have to give that one a lot of thought, but depending upon where that other Earth is at, even traveling at warp speed or hyperspace, you're talking an extremely long period of time. 100 years, 200 years, just to go from their Earth to our Earth. So it's not like they're packing their bags and taking a month-long road trip.
Right.
You know, even if you had the Enterprise.
Right.
It's not a generational ship. So they could make it here, but they would never get home before they died.
Well, that's why I talk about a multi-generational ship, right? But like even 100 years, we haven't been visited. And there have to be civilizations out there that are light years beyond us technologically. Unless, of course, that other theory holds true that once you get to a point technologically, you wind up blowing yourselves up, which I personally believe we are in a pretty good trajectory to do that.
There was that theory that they say, well, out of 10 civilizations that did it, what, 5 or 6 obliterated themselves and took themselves out of the gene pool?
Yeah.
Which leaves 4.
I was having a talk with my friend Eric, who I might do the Star Trek Picard wrap-up party with. And we were talking about, like, what would happen if it is a world war, like the destruction. Because if you watch Star Trek, right? I mean, in Star Trek, there's a World War III that pretty much takes out everything, right? And would that fix things? Would things be on the right path afterwards? And I told him no. And he's like, why no? I said, because if something like that were to happen, our entire government would be put in a shelter somewhere. And when they come out of that shelter, they're going to be the same fucking morons they were when they went into the shelter. That's why it wouldn't fix anything.
Yep. The UN would still be the UN.
Yep. Yeah. We need some major changes, man.
You were talking about landing and getting people to the moon and a moon base and things like that. Do you believe that is going to be happening relatively soon? Yes?
Yeah, well, relatively, yeah. I think so.
Within 30 years.
I think, well, okay.
It'll happen in our lifetime.
There has to be, because this is the society we've become, right? There has to be something in it for somebody. There has to be a financial reason to do it. To climb the mountain because it's there, in my opinion, our society lost that a long time ago. We don't do things because they're cool. We don't do things just to explore. Everything that we do, we got to make money, right? So if there's mining capabilities on the moon,
that's one of them.
Okay, then I can see. The other thing is space tourism, right? You build a beautiful Hilton on the hotel, right? And you charge $1 gazillion, to get there and to enjoy it. And of course, there are people on Earth that have $1 gazillion to blow on something like that, right? So I think unless there's some kind of financial interest, we'll go and we'll do it. And the other thing that you have to look at too is just a survival of the human race. Granted, it's a long time in the future, but the sun's not going to last forever, right? No. Now, if we're still around when that starts to go sour, we either need to figure out a way to either get to another planet and buy some more time, right? Or get on a massive space station and preserve the human race, right? That's clearly coming. But like I said, that is a way, 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 way long time in the future.
And that's what has pressed Elon Musk into doing what he's doing, because he said we have to get off the planet Earth.
We do.
And we have to have humanity somewhere else. Now, going back to the moon just for a second, you're talking about mining. It's exactly what the Chinese want to go. And there's a big brouhaha that's going on about how much territory a country would just take over. They would say this entire section of the moon is under Chinese control.
Yeah.
The reason being is because they have found the moon has an abundance of rare earth minerals. And right now, China is the biggest supplier of that.
Yeah.
You want new TVs, you want new cell phones, you want new computer chips. It's rare earth minerals that are driving that.
Yeah.
And that's why the U.S. is trying their damnedest to get up there.
But we got to start thinking a little bit bigger, right? You got to start thinking bigger than like sending a little probe to the moon that's going to crawl around and not really do anything. Maybe that probe will find where we have to go to get those minerals and to do the mining. But to get to the point where we're doing mining, you're talking about massive machinery, right? You got to get the massive machinery there. You got to do the mining, and then you got to get the mining back here to Earth, right? So you got to think a lot bigger. My fear is though that we're moving too slow and the funds aren't there to do these kinds of things because we're too worried about the latest cell phone and TikTok videos and who's a boy and who's a girl. You know, we're so focused on unimportant shit that we're letting the important shit just float on by, in my opinion.
But don't you find it ironic that at the same time that he's building this massive BFR rocket, that he's also got a tunneling system that's happening? Because they've spoken about, instead of building bases using lava tunnels that are already on the moon and just sealing them and capping two ends.
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important. Hey, Larry, you missed the rocket. Yeah, well, it blew up. It blew up. It got off the launch pad. It made it to max Q. It looked like all of the engines didn't light. It started to tumble, and before second stage separation, they blew it up. So it got off the pad. It was exciting.
It went through max Q.
It did make it through max Q.
And then it just tumbled out of control.
Then it just did tumble somersaults. It was supposed to do one and then come back, but it just kept going.
After separation.
Yeah. The separation didn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
That's going to be an issue. So they had a RUD.
They did. They had a RUD. I hope that when they were doing the Starship testing, the belly flop testing, it was like one every couple weeks, right? I really hope. I hope that the next one goes soon. I know they got a whole bunch of ships lined up, ready to go. I just.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they'll look at the problems, figure it out, and just do the next one.
Wasn't it ironic that when they were getting so close to doing this, the government turned around and they said, "Oh, in order to be able to make multiple launches, you have to complete this checklist of shit." Really? All right. I'm an environmentalist. I like the environment. I want them to preserve what they can. But at the last minute, you come out with this laundry list.
Well, it's once again America getting in America's way, right? That's just so typical. Between all of our rules and regulations really do hold things back.
Now, are they building a launch pad at NASA?
Oh God, yes. Oh, they have a massive facility in Florida. The plan is to, once this thing is operational, it's going to move here. I think they have the tower with the chopsticks already built or very close. Yep. They have a production facility, a factory. I mean, SpaceX has a massive facility at Kennedy now at this point. I think they just opened up a Falcon display too, which is like relatively new that I want to go see.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let me see who's pinging me. Well, we're definitely not going to wait around for the next launch, so. It's my friend Chris. We're space junkies. He said it got a lot farther than he thought it would.
Oh, yeah, just to watch it take off. It cleared the pad. It got up in the air. It boggles my mind. 10 million pounds of fuel launched and hit maximum aerodynamic pressure
with the grid fins out.
Yeah.
Right, because the grid fins don't fold like on the Falcon.
No.
So cool. You go, Elon. Okay.
Yep.
I'm curious. How many people watched? Like 5? Oh, 311 people. That's cool. 37 watching right now. All right, guys, that's the end. Thanks for hanging out with us. That was fun. Maybe we'll do it again on the next shot. What do you think?
Don't forget, folks.
Okay.
If you're going to vape, pick up an Inikin product.
Aw.
My favorite,
That's sweet.
𝗰𝗂𝗍. Love these things.
Yeah,
love
like
them.
𝗰𝗂𝗍. I today, since I do vape, but this is not a vape show, I got the Z60. I got my 𝗵𝗶𝗶 rice pudding. I need to refill that right there. I have my 𝗰𝗶𝗶, but I rock it a little bit different, right? I use the 510 adapter. This is my Stormtrooper mod right there. And this one has... No, this one, okay. This one has my my mango colada, mango pina colada. And then I have this one right here, Z80. And this one does have watermelon peach, the #1 best-selling flavor in the unsalted line. It's very delicious.
I've got a couple going. I've got a few different ones. I've got one sitting in front of me and charging, and I've got another one back in the back. I got them scattered all over my desk. But for people, seriously, people have been asking me, and I tell them, pick up an Innokin product. And I, not because I have anything to do with Innokin. This thing, Phil, seriously, is so simple to use. So simple. I just can't get over it. I've got them. My wife uses them. Love it.
Our president has something to say about that.
Not a joke.
There you go. All right, everybody.
Dude, thanks for hanging out. It was
fun. It was fun. Thanks for twisting my leg there a little bit and getting me to do this. And we'll do more of these. Okay. All right. Now I got to click a button to stop. That's the button I got to click to stop. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.